When I do this, it actually really helps getting requests from people. Picking an interesting movie every single day for October can be tough. And when I get recommendations from you, it expands my horizons and opens me up to seeing something I may have missed. Now, for the past few years, there's been one movie that everyone keeps saying I need to watch, telling me how scary it is. So I finally got a chance to sit down, and I was really excited to check out Hereditary. The movie kicks off with a funeral for an older woman, and judging by the eulogy given by her daughter, she doesn't seem like she's going to be missed all that much. We then follow around the family a bit and learn tiny pieces of information about them. The mother, Annie, is a miniatures artist. The husband, Steve, well, they don't dwell too much on what he does, but he spends the runtime trying to keep everyone sane. You know, the 16-year-old Peter, who likes weed, and finally the 13-year-old daughter, Charlie, who likes to make sounds. This is a light spoiler, but if you've seen a horror meme or two, you know what happens to Charlie, and her death hits the family and you, the viewer, pretty hard, and none of them feel like they can talk to each other. We just slowly start to see their grief overcome them until they're just shells waiting for a burst of emotions to bust through. It's really sad, and it's acted wonderfully. Shortly before the death of Charlie, Annie had befriended a woman after going to a grief counseling center, lying to her husband, telling him that she's going to the movies. While there, we learn about her family's rough history with mental illness. Eventually, the friend Joan takes Annie back to her place where they have a seance involving Joan's grandson, and she gives Annie the tools to do one herself in the hopes of bringing Charlie's spirit back. Unfortunately, that doesn't go well. Many reviews I checked out called it the scariest movie of 2018, and some even going so far as to say it was one of the scariest movies they've ever seen, a horror masterpiece. And well, I don't know what they were watching, because to me, it's just not scary. There are a few scary moments that are chilling and effective, but they're so few and far between, and with such a long gap with nothing happening, it always lets you calm back down and have another 30 minutes or so before the next scare. Even the climax is still a boring rehash of The Witch, but set in modern times. It's just people walking, talking, and making silly faces. It's supposed to fill you with the dread of what just got unleashed on the world. But meh. Unless people are going to get weirded or annoyed to death. Now here's the distinction. I do think it's a good movie, just not a good horror movie. As a story about pain and loss, it's pretty fantastic. These characters lose so much. Family members, their trust, their sanity, and even their heads. I was much more interested watching them slowly lose their minds over the guilt and suffering than I was for the horror aspect of this movie. Toni Collette is so good in the role. When she's in agony, she makes you feel it. There's nothing appealing about her cries after the death of Charlie. It's raw, and you feel the same powerless her husband is feeling as he tries to console her. That and when she starts cracking, the little disgusted looks she gives those around her are fantastic. Her husband Steve, played by Gabriel Byrne, is the straight man in the family. He's doing his best to keep them all together and to not kill each other, but he's fighting a losing battle, and it's really taking a toll on him as well. Normally, I don't like movies where it's people bickering back and forth the whole time, because when it's over, I feel like I've been in a fight, and it's exhausting. But the way this movie is shot and the relationship between these pain characters is really good. But as a horror movie, it falls flat. I'm terrible at guessing what's going to happen at the end of movies, unlike my dad who's always getting them right somehow. It's probably why I enjoy them so much and hate spoilers, because I'm able to get taken for a ride by the filmmakers, and it's more fun that way. But I was able to put together what one character was up to, even if it made no sense for them to meet the way they did. This movie was built up so much on websites, it currently has an 89% critic rating, where people were falling all over themselves to praise it. Then I look at the audience score and I see it's a 67, and I can really understand the disconnect. All the technical stuff, this movie has it in spades. It has great acting, a whole lot of artsy shots, and the soundtrack is haunting and works really well. Those things are just like sprinkles on a cake. They enhance it, but they won't get me to enjoy eating it if the rest isn't good. I wanted to like this movie. Trust me, I really did. I love being scared and when watching movies, and was fully expecting to be. The one time I actually felt frightened involved the character trying to get into the attic, but other than that, there really wasn't anything. Even with the ending, it's hard to tell what the stakes were. Is this a worldwide threat? Should everyone prepare to be terrified? Or just slightly more annoyed than usual? I'm not sure, and the movie didn't do enough to explain or get me to care. Watching so many horror movies of varying quality, you put up with a lot. Just don't be boring. All it has to do is keep me engaged enough to stop me from picking up my phone, and this one just couldn't do it. I realize that this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but based on its merits as a horror movie, 4 Dr. Chainsaws.